This is Valley View News.
A legal controversy continues 2 years after the Chatsworth Metrolink crash. Thousands of Southern California kids have received free school supplies. And Lady Gaga was the biggest winner at this year's MTV Video Music Awards.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Karen Castro.
And I'm Greg Donnell. San Bruno residents are returning home after a gas line explosion left their neighborhood in ruins. The San Bruno blast, which killed 4 and destroyed 37 homes, is now 100% contained. The cause of the gas line rupture is unknown, and the search for survivors is still continuing. Pacific Gas and Electric Company, the owner of the exploded pipeline, will be forced to inspect its entire natural gas system. Investigators said they examined the pipeline in March and found no problems. The California Public Utilities Commission has asked PG&E to preserve records related to the explosion. The company's leak investigation will be examined, as well as how funds are spent on preventing future disasters.
The company has checked for gas odor in the San Bruno area. Firefighters checked any gas smell but cleared the area in 15 minutes after not finding anything. The fire department had received a phone call from the San Bruno resident where the explosion had occurred on September 9th. Technicians with the gas odor detection equipment will be following up in the scene.
It's been 2 years since the deadly Chatsworth train collision, and some issues are still unsettled. Valley View's Rachel DeLeon has an update in the studio.
That terrible collision was the worst accident in Metrolink history. It killed 25 people and injured many others. Crash survivors and victims' families have been involved in the lawsuit with Metrolink since the accident. The commuter rail company has agreed to pay $200 million in liability, but not everyone is happy with the outcome.
This bend in the tracks bears little resemblance to the wreckage from the collision that once laid over it. Just east of Stony Point in Chatsworth is where 2 trains speeding toward each other on the same track crashed, reducing some cars to shreds of metal and rubble. I'm standing on top of the tunnel where a Union Pacific freight train passed through at approximately 4 p.m. September 12th, 2 years ago. Behind me are the tracks where it shortly after collided with Metrolink train 111, killing 25 people. A memorial is one of the only reminders on the site that the tragedy ever occurred. Officials have determined the cause of the crash was the conductor texting and passing through a red light. Last August, Metrolink and its contractor, Connex, agreed to pay the maximum liability of $200 million to the victims and their families. Attorney Paul Kiesel oversees the 76 plaintiffs involved in the lawsuit and criticizes the maximum set by Congress.
It is our belief that when someone causes harm, they ought to take full responsibility for what they have done and not have a way to protect themselves today and in the future.
CSUN faculty member B. Watts was sitting in the second car during the accident and suffered extensive internal injuries. She says she remembers everything.
It was like chaos hit all of a sudden, and my body got thrown, it crashed into the table, I got thrown up in the air, I did a somersault, I landed, I rolled around for a little bit, there was other bodies around me. All of the bodies that I saw were moving. I heard a lot of moaning and groaning, no screaming, and it was just really quiet.
Watts says she suffers from anxiety at times and can't work full days anymore. She also says she never plans to ride in a train again. Chair of Metrolink's board of directors, Keith Millhouse, was unable to give Valley View News a comment at this time, but has been quoted in the Los Angeles Times. "I recognize one can't possibly compensate people for their losses, but we have to work within the parameters of the law." Since the crash, Metrolink has made efforts to prevent an accident like that from ever happening again, such as installing cameras and crash emergency management technology on its cars.
Lawyers for the victims say the liability cap is inadequate and outdated, but they don't expect Congress will change the law anytime in the near future.
Controversy continues over efforts to build an Islamic center and mosque near the World Trade Center site. Demonstrations were held near the site. Protesters on both sides held signs and argued with each other. Those against the mosque feel it's insensitive to people that were killed on September 11th. Imam Faisal Abdul Rauf is spearheading the planned mosque.
When irresponsible individuals or some in the media equate Muslims with anti-Americanism or extremism, and when they say that Islamic values are fundamentally violent or domineering, all of us are obliged to refute it.
Several, including President Obama, spent time to reflect on the largest attack on American soil. The nation remembered those lost on 9/11. The day was a chance for the nation to remember men and women who died 9 years ago. In Lower Manhattan, it was the annual reading of the names of those killed at the World Trade Center in the terrorist attacks of 2001. And President Obama spoke at the Pentagon, which was also attacked.
This is a day of remembrance, a day of reflection.
First Lady Michelle Obama and former First Lady Laura Bush consoled families in Pennsylvania where one of the hijacked flights crashed. There is controversy about a mosque being built 2 blocks from Ground Zero. A Florida pastor threatened to burn copies of the Quran if the mosque is not moved. He later canceled the protest. The imam proposing the mosque says he will not agree to have it moved.
The governor has announced that September is Disaster Preparedness Month in California. Scientists say a large earthquake could hit the area sometime in the future, but are the people ready for it? Valley View's reporter Brittany Silverstein has more on what you need to prepare yourself.
A lot of students at California State University Northridge say they aren't prepared for an earthquake like the one that hit the campus in 1994.
Not at all, no, not.
To tell you the truth, I don't think I'm prepared. I haven't thought about it.
The 6.7 magnitude Northridge quake caused a lot of damage across the Southland. The red line you're seeing here represents the San Andreas Fault, and experts say it may produce an earthquake much more powerful than previously thought. Jeff Edelstein told me most people don't prepare until it's too late.
You see a major shake or you feel a lot of shaking, and all of a sudden you think, hey, I better get prepared, if something major happens, but something has already happened, unfortunately.
Scientists say the best way to defend yourself against an earthquake is to be prepared, and getting prepared can be so easy. All you have to do is go to your local survival products store, grab an emergency survival kit, and for about $25, you'll have everything you'll need. Or, if you'd like to create your own kit at home, Edelstein recommends you include these things.
When setting aside an emergency kit, whether you make it yourself or you have a pre-made kit, would be the food and water. The water that we put in the kits has a 5-year shelf life. This is 3,600 calories, so it's good for one person 3 days. The advantage of having a whistle is instead of yelling and screaming, the whistle is a lot more piercing. Leather palm gloves are good to have, and also a pair of hard-soled shoes.
Other items that can be handy around the house are a lantern, a hand crank radio, a portable toilet, and even emergency chocolate for those with a sweet tooth. This customer says he's happy he came to the store to keep his family safe when the next earthquake hits.
Certainly, there's a lot of peace of mind that comes with being prepared.
In Van Nuys, Brittany Silverstein for Valley View News.